Hi, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap. Welcome to the Luminary Card Kit workshop. We're gonna have a lot of fun creating 12 gorgeous cards from this collection. I've got my supplies ready. Let's get started. And as a quick sneak peek, let's take a look. We're gonna make 4 of these beautiful cards that fit into a standard A2 envelope. They feature the little pocket and a handmade tag, and then they're decorated inside and out. Then we will make 4 of these cards for an A6 envelope. It's a single fold card with a lovely set of embellishments and ribbon on the front. And then finally, our unique card structure of the day will be this telescoping card style that kind of pops out for a clever display, but also lays perfectly flat for mailing. One of my favorite features of this card. So I've got my Luminary Card Kit here, and hopefully you've had a chance to pick this up. If not, click the link below to pick up your card kit. It's just $24.95 while supplies last. So hopefully you were able to get your hands on this. Now with purchase, you'll get the instructions. So I have that here. And what we're gonna start out by doing is sorting the paper into the order that will trim it. So we're gonna actually do all of the work ahead of time, trim all the stuff we need for those cards, and then score it and then assemble it. So here we go. Without further ado, we're gonna find from the stack 1 sheet of green, and then 1 sheet of dark purple. You're gonna notice right away that thick heaviness of the dark purple paper. It's so beautiful. Same with this light purple here. It's lovely, lovely. And then we have, we're calling it cream speckle. It's a cream speckle paper. And you can see all the beautiful recycled fiber inside this paper. And then we're gonna repeat that and just sort in the same order again. So that would be green, dark purple, light purple, cream speckle, and finally we're going to trim the 2 prints. I like to save those for last just in case, you know, we just need a little warming up. So those are the hardest papers to replace, so those will go face down. And then as far as the Cutaparts, let's put the one that says thinking of you with the big round medallion in one of the corners. We'll put that face down, and then we have this other one that has kind of a darker background. That'll go face down. And once all those papers are trimmed, we're gonna have what we need to make those 12 cards. Okay, so back to the top of the stack where we started. I just flipped everything over, and we are going to begin with 1 sheet of green. Now, because this eventually becomes a card, we need to pay attention to the grain direction of the paper. In other words, the direction the fibers have all lined up together while this paper was being manufactured. Since this paper is square, it's hard to tell by looking at it, but if I push the paper together like this, I'm going to assess how hard it is to push it together. If I just go the other way, oh my goodness, it's so much easier to push it together this way. Now, once you discover the easiest way to push it together, that means you found the grain direction, okay? And I want the paper to push together easiest from the top of the trimmer to the bottom. And then I'm going to drop it in. Now, somebody mentioned what she says to herself is the arrows should kiss, okay? So when I push this together, the arrows kiss easily in this direction. Hey, whatever helps you, that's what I want you to think of. Pushing that. Oh, that's really hard. This is easy, so I want it to be easy to push together from top to bottom. And let's get going on this. So we're going to start out at, oh gosh, before I make my first cut, I need to stay organized. So here's my Accordion Pocket File. If you don't already have this, you're going to want it. It's just perfect for sorting all of the pieces we need for our cards. It sits underneath the base of my trimmer, and then you can file the pieces into one of the 4 pockets, card set A, B, C, and then design potential in D. Things that don't have an assignment. All right, here we are back again, ready to make our first cut at 11 3/4. I know that's just a really big number. So here's the 12. We're 1 column away from the 12 at 11 3/4. Always make sure you're stabilizing on that clear bar when you bring the blade down, especially with these 2 heavy duty papers. And then 6 1/4. Rotate this, and we'll trim at 9. That was 9 inches. You can set this aside, these 2 pieces to be scored. That's gonna grow up to become a card base. And then you have this other 6 1/4 inch wide piece, it's by 3 inches tall. And we're gonna put that in pocket B. And then we have this next larger piece. Let's go ahead and cut that at 8.5. So it's horizontal, of course, at 8.5. And that gives us 2 more card bases. I'll set that aside to be scored. And then this little rectangle that fell off the end, we'll trim at 4 3/4. This is gonna go in pocket A. And then you have some scraps. Now, you might want to save them. I'll throw them in pocket D. You just never know. And I'm not going to have you trim this, but we will at the end. We're just going to use scissors or something to cut this to the right length. We'll pocket these in B as in Bravo. Now we're going to go to this light purple. That's the next paper in our stash. And let's just do our little, oh yes, it wants to go this way. So that goes top to bottom. And then the cream speckle, again, you can either hold it and study like how stiff it is, or you can push it together. You can make the arrows kiss, you know, whatever works. And we're gonna repeat all of that. So 11 3/4 way over here, stabilizing. And then I'll move down to 6 1/4. So that's 1 column to the left of the 6. Rotate, and we'll cut horizontally at 9. And pop this into our stack to be scored. This goes in pocket B. And now we have our next strip. This is currently 5.5 by 12. We'll trim at 8.5. And this goes in the pile to be scored. And we have a little rectangle we need to take some off. So we'll trim at 4 3/4. Pocket A. We have the little scraps. You never know, put it in D, and then these little strips I'll add to B without even trimming them. Okay, that was everything we needed to do for step 1. Look at 4 sheets of paper here, step 2. So let's, once again, I see the arrow goes top to bottom, so, oh yeah, it wants to go this way. That's the green. Give that a push. Oh, that's much easier. Top to bottom for the bendy. And we are going to, now, okay, this one, I'm going to just go slow down a little bit because it's quite a bit for the cutting here. First cut here is going to be at 7. That's a nice and easy way to start, right? 7. Okay, we rotate, and now we're going to go at 11.5. That's weird. That's a weird measurement. Okay, this is going to go aside to be scored in that little pile. And then you have this little piece that fell off the end, and we need to trim it at 6 1/4. Okay, for something like this, I like to bring it down a little on my trimmer, just a little lower, so I rest it against the line beneath the inch markings. And I'm going to pop that in B. That's a very important purpose, that little piece, by the way. Okay, now I want you to just hang in there with me while we make some twists and turns during this cutting process. We'll start out at 6 3/4. That was 6 3/4. Now rotate, and we'll cut at 4 1/4 and 2 1/2. Now take that 2 1/2 inch piece that's still in your trimmer and rotate it again so it's back to horizontal, and we'll cut at 5 1/2. Good job. This piece, pocket A, and then you have some little scraps that fell. We'll pop those in D for now. Then you have this skinny and a little wider. Both of those go in C. And now we have this other piece. Now it's not quite square, so this way it's 5 1/4, and this way it's 5. So I want you to place it in the trimmer so that you're at the 5. And in other words, it's vertical, but it's so close to square, it's hard to tell. And we're gonna cut at 4 3/4 and 3 1/4. So 3 1/4. Okay, the piece you just created, pocket C. And then you have this strip that fell. We're gonna trim that horizontally at 4. That's it, that's the last cut. This goes in A. And we have, let's see, that fell off, these fell off. That's a little, I'm just gonna set those aside. Those are pretty small little scraps. Now you get another chance to do that with me again. So I'm checking my grain, making sure it's dipping easily from top to bottom. And once again, we trim at 7. Rotate and cut at 11.5. Set this aside to be scored. This is the last of the hard stuff. Everything else after this is downhill, so just bear with me. 6 1/4 on this little guy, and you wouldn't have to do this. You could do this at the end with scissors too, but I'm gonna put that in B. And then you have the little tiny scraps that fell. Okay. Now we have all the twists and turns. So the first cut is at 6 3/4. That's so you're close to the 7, right? You're 1 column away from the 7. That's 6 3/4. Rotate so it's vertical. And cut at 4 1/4 and 2 1/2. Rotate the piece that you just created and trim at 5 1/2. This will go on pocket A, and we have some little scraps. Then you have this other strip along with the really skinny strip. Both sets of strips go in C, as in cat. Okay, now there's this oddball. We want it to go into the trimmer so that when you look at the measurement, it's 5. We're gonna trim at 4 3/4 and 3 1/4. This piece gets used as is in pocket C. And then we have a strip trimmed at 4. This goes in pocket A, and the rest, I'm just gonna let them go. You know, they're nice little scraps. Not bad for a set of 12 cards, right? Okay, next we're gonna move on to the prints now that we're all warmed up. And you can put it in the trimmer any way you want. It really shouldn't affect the outcome too much. I'm just gonna do it the way it shows in the diagram. It's not important at all. All right, so first cut on this one, 11, 9 3/4, 6 1/2, 3 1/4. Okay, this piece in the trimmer right now, I'm going to rotate it so it's horizontal and cut at 11 1/4, 6 3/4. So this larger piece here, pocket C, and then the smaller one will be a panel for card A. And then off the end fell a little scrap, get rid of that. And then you have 2 more pieces that should be the same width. I'm going to put them back to back so the white sides are touching and trim them together in the same way. So we'll start at 11 1/4, 6 3/4. Pocket C, and then these 2 pieces A, and the 2 pieces that fell off the end, you can set them aside. Now you have these other little strips here. They're different sizes, but they're gonna serve the same role. They're just gonna decorate, I think, the inside of a card. I'm not sure, but they were a scrap, but they're not anymore is what I'm trying to say. So let's cut at 11 and 5 1/2 on each of those. And I'll do it one at a time just because these pieces are so small. 11 and 5 1/2. All right, so I can gather up 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 little pieces, pocket A. And you have some little scraps that fell off the end. All right, here we go on the last piece of regular paper to trim. We'll begin at 8 3/4 and 5. All right, little twisties and turnies again for this next round. So rotate so you're horizontal, and we'll go at 10 1/2 and 6 3/4. And then rotate that 6 3/4 inch so it's a vertical again. All right, here we go. 3 3/4, 2 1/2, 1 1/4. Okay, so here we got this one. That's 1, 2, 3. Oh, how handy. 4. They all go in pocket C. And then we have this panel for A and a scrap, actually. It's pretty big. I'm going to put that in D just in case I decide to use it. And now for this next one, we're going to cut it horizontally. And if you need to double check, this is 3 3/4 inches wide. Okay, just going to divide this into fourths by trimming on numbers divisible by 3. So that's going to be 9, 6, and 3. All of this goes in pocket B. And then you have just 2 more cuts left here. 11 1/4, 6 3/4. All right, this goes in pocket C with some friends just like it. This goes in A, and we have a scrap again. Oh. All right, we've arrived at our Cutaparts, and now you have to do something that, just a little prep work. It's not much. I've done most of the prep work for you, but do you see at every corner it tells you to remove the paper outside of the cutting guides? So we're going to do that. I'm going to line this with the outside edge of that silver bar. Now, I was teaching a class this weekend, and somebody was struggling because they were looking at the black edge. You got to look at the silver edge. And once she realized that, this was a lot easier. So that first cut I make, sometimes I just go a little generous on it. I'm not sure if you can see that. But I didn't cut right to it because that first cut, it's kind of hard to see at the bottom edge. And I want to make sure I'm perfectly level at the top and bottom. So then I'll rotate the paper, and I can now see the bottom edge too of the edge of that silver blade. And then I'm just going to rotate. And now this third rotation, I should be able to look at the 12 and be on the line. Now, if not, I can just kind of keep rotating, shaving, rotating, shaving. And I love that my trimmer can shave. Okay, so I'm taking this away. And now with this on the right edge, this little, it was supposed to be a scrap, but of course Jacqueline puts art on it because she can. And our first cut will be at 11 3/4, 8 1/2, and 5, and then a rotation. Again, we're going to divide this into fourths by trimming on numbers divisible by 3. So we go 9, 6, and 3. All right, all 4 of these, pocket C. Lots of stuff in pocket C. Now we have this little chunk of medallions here on the right. We're going to cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. All right. All of this goes in pocket B. And I use this on card set C. You don't have to, but you can. It's kind of fun. Okay, over here. So many candles, so little cake. That should be on your right. And we will start at 9 1/2 and 6 3/4. Now I hesitated a little bit there because these innies are actually 2 different sizes. So that was intentional because I just had this weird size here and I could just make the innie size. It didn't matter. Okay, you get the idea. So that goes in C, that big one. And these 2 other smaller ones go in A, and I use this in card set B. I'm not going to cut it now, but I will later. Just pop it in there. And guess what? We get to do this one more time. We're going to take off that extra on the edge. So again, a more generous cut on my first pass. Then I'll rotate, and now I can see the outside of the silver cutting blade. And that's what I want to line up with those marks. So just rotate each time. And you know, sometimes you'll need to like straighten it. So once it's straight and flush with those lines, when you make your rotation, it should be quite perfect. And here I land on 12. Got my little shaving. I'll get rid of all that. And once again, there's going to be a little scrap that Jacqueline puts some sweet little dots on there for us. So our first cut, once again, is at 11 3/4, 10 1/2, and 6 3/4. And then we rotate. So I want you to have your smaller elements on the right here, and we'll cut at 9 3/4, 6 1/2, 3 1/4. 1, 2, 3. Pocket C. Oh my goodness, so much in C. We've got a lot going on with those cards. This one we're going to cut at 3 1/2. So once again, that actually gives us two different size pieces, and that's okay. It's just, you know, the plan. Pocket A. It was that or have a scrap, and you know, I don't like those. All right, let's put those little round sweet medallions on the right, and we're going to go at 11 1/4, 10, 7 1/2, 5, 2 1/2. All right, let's gather these up. There should be 4 the same size. Those are innies, I think, for card set B. I don't know. Or Odie's, can't remember. And then we've got this pretty thinking of you today going in A, and these cute little medallions. I used them in C, and now we have this last strip here. Hope should be on your right. It's always a good place for hope. We'll trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. All right, we've got these 3 the same going in pocket A, and then you have the word hope. I used it in B, and we have this pretty little strip. I used it in B. Oh my goodness, we have reached finally the end. There's no more papers to trim. We've used all 12, well, let's see, 12 pieces, including the Cutaparts. That's not bad. So we put the trimmer away, and now I'm gonna get my score pal onto the scene. I've mentioned this before, but I do prefer to use a stylus instead of the plastic tool in here. It just really works well. Or you can use just a standard bone folder to do your scoring as well. We do have this gigantic stack here of plain papers, and right on the top I have this. If you did what I did, you should have this on top. This is the largest piece, and we've got some interesting scoring to do. Our first score will be on the horizontal, so it should read 11 1/2 here, 7 here. And we'll score at 5, so engage and that little notch at 5, push down firmly and pull back toward you. Now the amount of pressure is determined by the weight of the paper, so don't get too crazy. You're going to need to have a heavier hand for these heavier papers. So the lighter the paper, the lighter the hand, the lighter the pressure, that is. Okay, and then 10 1/2, way down over here, 10 1/2. Okay, then flip the paper bottom to top. So I'm not rotating anything, I'm just flipping bottom to top. And I want you to score at 8 1/2. And that gives you a series of very odd looking score lines. It's okay, it's all by design. All right, let's repeat that for the next. This should be, for you, it probably will be light purple if you followed me. And once again, 5, 10 1/2. And then you flip bottom to top. And then 8 1/2. Be really careful here. Try to get all those numbers right. All right, 5, 10 1/2. We flip bottom, goes to top. 8 1/2. One more. 5. This is lighter, so not as heavy-handed. 10 1/2. Flip. 8 1/2. Beautiful. All of this. All 4 of these now can be filed in pocket C. We'll use them later. And next we can go to, there's a set right on the top here of the speckle, and it's kind of a smaller size. Then you have 2 that are larger, okay? I want the smaller ones, and then there are 2 more that are smaller that match, okay? Let's just do all 4 of these now. So I'm gonna start with the speckle, and this is a nice simple score line at 4 1/4. In fact, the number's so common, there's actually an asterisk at that number. So we just gotta go to the asterisk. That's a good word. 4 1/4 on each of these. Again, on those heavier papers, make sure you're pushing hard enough to get a score line, and on those lighter weight ones, make sure it's light enough not to wreck the paper. Card set A, that's the pocket A. And then finally you have the cards that measure 9 on this edge and 6 1/4. We'll just score these in half at 4 1/2. So be really careful here that you don't go to the asterisk. Go to the 4 1/2. And then pressing firmly on the light purple for a little deeper score. And then we have light purple, also very heavy. And then 4 1/2 as well on the green. And that's our last score line. These go in pocket B, and we can get started with our card making. Let's take everything out of the pocket labeled A. Got it all loaded, and we got all the stuff in there. I'm going to isolate those card bases. Oh man, we have all kinds of fun things in here. And the first thing we'll do is fold these card bases. Now I just flipped everything over instinctively. So on this side, I've got all the divots of my score lines. And on this side, I have all the bumps. See the bump? There it is. I'm going to fold this card in half so that the bump of that score line goes on the inside of the fold. And then just burnish it. You can burnish them one at a time. You can burnish them after they're all folded and then stack them up. With only 4 cards, you know, it's just nice to give them a little swipe right out of the gates. Sometimes some papers scar more easily than others. And if that's the case, you can take your instructions and then cover the item before you score to protect it from scarring. Okay, let's take the dark purple, light purple, green, and cream speckle. They'll be all vertical. And right out of the gates, you're gonna have this larger print. I actually used it on the inside of this last cream colored card to add a little zhuzh to that last card panel. So you can get rid of that larger print. There's 4 smaller ones, but that's where I use the larger one. Okay, now we have these longer strips here. These are the same height as the card. So let's distribute some color. We're gonna go with green, dark purple, cream speckle, and light purple. Now we need a colored mat. So that's this next smallest mat here. We'll go with purple. And you can see we're just continuing to add color. We've got the cream speckle here, and then the dark purple here, and the green. Every single card panel now gets to have a printed mat. Now you can decide how you want to distribute these based on the artwork, totally up to you. Each of these is going to receive a strip for the tag because we are making these little tags. The first one is the color that's missing. So cream speckle, green is missing from this, light purple is missing, and the dark purple was missing. How clever is that? How about a Make-A-Wish? Let's put Make-A-Wish on these top 2 cards. And then Thinking of You Today on the bottom 2 cards. That's for the tags. Everything left goes on the insides of the cards. So the first 2 get So Many Candles, So Little Cake. And the last 2, which are my personal favorites, You Are As Amazing as a Dress with Pockets. All right, then we have our little strips. Again, this was gonna be a scrap, so I'm like, that can't happen. We can't have that wide of a scrap. So I cut it into 4 pieces and we'll use it for a little border strip on the inside of each card. Then I'm going to find my envelopes that came with the kit. Maybe you're reaching into the plastic bag that everything came in and grabbing your envelopes, but I'm going to load all the elements that were used in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th card. Okay, and then that will assemble exactly like this is about to assemble. We don't need to do all 4 of these together. You're going to get the idea. All right, so here we go with our card base. And then I'm going to grab my grid ruler here because I need to adhere this panel. And I just want to make sure my panel doesn't run downhill as I am prone to do. So here we go with some adhesive there. I think I'm going to go 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go 2 cubes on the ruler over and plop this right onto that. Very good. Now next I'm going to add my printed panel to the light purple panel before I attach this to the card in any way, shape, or form. In full disclosure, I want you to know I've already put it on the card and had to take it off. I need you to know that that happens. Then we have these little pieces that I accidentally put in pocket D that we're going to use to anchor this. Now if you don't have this piece, no worries, but you probably will have it in D. That's where I put mine. and I fetched them out of there, and they fit right across perfectly. And that's going to give us a really nice option for some ribbons. So here we go. I'm going to take this beautiful light purple satin. I always use a fabric scissors for my ribbon. And I see a lot of people struggle with cutting their ribbon with paper scissors. It just doesn't work. Now I'm going to throw some adhesive on the back. And because I did that, I think I'm going to do like a crisscross here. So I'm going to run this here, and because I have adhesive on the back, oh, look at that. And then my second piece, I'm going to make a little crisscross here and a crisscross there. Okay. Then I'm going to pretend I never put this on here before. And it's a 3 cube thing. So I just count up some random measurement of 3 cubes. 1, 2, 3 cubes from the bottom, 3 cubes from the edge. And now this panel is centered onto the card base. We're good to go. Okay, so everything's laid out for us to make our cute little homemade tag. On my corner chomper, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch setting. You could use a standard corner rounder. Because I'm using the smaller setting, I think that's kind of a standard. And I'm just going to round the top 2 corners of the Cutapart and the mat, okay? Then I will take my fabric scissors. This is a one I just got. It's by Singer, and I've used it for years, the same scissors, because I never cut paper with it. It loves me because of that. Then I'm going to staple this to the top of the tag here. Isn't that cute? And the reason I stapled it before I nested it is so that the back of the staple is hidden, right, for a nice finished look on this lovely little mat here. Then look at these little bags. Now one side I think the ribbons crisscross and the other side they don't. So for the front, I like to have the ribbons not crisscross so it has a little bit more of a finished look. And this should fit right into the bag. I really tested it, and I maybe could have gone a little bigger, but like, what if your bag isn't quite as big as mine? So this is the size that I chose to go in my planning, my meticulous planning. And then I'm gonna put some adhesive on the back of that bag and then just like place it in the lower, kind of the left side of the card. Just so you can see this cute ribbon, and isn't it sweet? Make a wish. All right, now I'm gonna open this up. Now, in addition to this little strip here, it looks like I used the scrap from that 12-inch piece that we added to pocket B on this inner card to add a little color. That's completely optional, and you can view that in my instructions, okay? And then we have so many candles, so little cake. Oh, and check it out, from the deep pocket, I also added this little piece. So you'd have a tiny little spot so you can sign your name. Ha 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 ha. How cute is that? Okay, so there's your sweet little A2 card. And remember, you've got your card 2, and then to this one I'm gonna add the green. And to this one, I'll add the light purple, and the last one I'll add the dark purple. So remember, we have those cute little anchoring strips that go right on the front of the card. Remember the order of assembly when you do these other 3. If you want, just pause me and you can do that right now. That would be great. Now, before we move on to set B, there's one other thing I wanted to show you. This is that beautiful medallion embellishment that was in there. And I just love how flat it is and how much it reminds me of the light display that I visited at the Payne Arts Center in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And to attach it, I didn't even use glue. I used my ATG, and I placed it kind of like right about here. And then, so it kind of hides a little behind the tag. And if you look at my other cards, here it is on the other lavender colored base. Now I use the other 2 embellishments on a different card. Then we also had Thinking of You Today. You are as amazing as a dress with pockets. And then another Thinking of You Today. So that's with the cream speckle and the full panel on the inside of the card. Yay. Yes. And then you'll have a leftover scrap from the cards and pocket bee that you can use to finish, just add a little color to the inside. Again, that's totally optional. It's just something I like to do. Now it's time to remove the contents of pocket B. Quite a bit of stuff in there. Oh goodness. Yes, lots of things. Okay, let's sort all of this out. This is what I'm talking about. Those little strips, those can go back on card A because you're only going to use 6 1/4 inches of them here, and then you would use 5 1/2 inches over there. I really should have had you put them in pocket A, but it was too late because I've already filmed it, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. Okay, all kinds of things. I'm just sorting out by size here a little bit. Got some panels, some innies and outies, and our card bases here. So once again, find your bumps of your score line. And I never really trust the score. I don't just fold it on the score line and assume the score line is perfectly level with the card. I fold it with the bump on the inside, and that's just like my starter. I always make sure those corners line up perfectly before I make that final crease. And there we go. I can take my bone folder again. And here's what I was saying. Like if this paper would show a little mark from burnishing, I would cover it with my instructions so that the paper is protected. Okay, so now that this is all prepped, let's get our cards out in order here. We're gonna start out with the green, and they're all horizontal, by the way. Green, and then that cream speckle, and let's go light purple and dark purple. It doesn't have to be in that order, it's just the order I put them in so that I could sort them out easily, okay? Now, we're going to add one of these strips. Okay, we're gonna go dark purple, green, cream, and light purple. From your goodies, let's hand out one of these beautiful gold laser cut strips to each one. And then we're going to add a printed panel to each one. And then we have either sending healing hugs or happy birthday to be distributed. For the inside, we'll go with hoping you find strength in each new day on those two, and then you brighten the world just by being in it. I love that. We also have these little strips cut to the length of the card. This will be light purple here and then dark purple on the top two cards, and then green and cream. You see how we're, again, continuing to distribute color. And then I used this pretty little border here, and then the dotty border here. And finally, the little hope. I think I use that on that first card. Plus you have all of this to use on the inside. I don't know, let's do it. We got dark purple here. I use a light purple here, and cream on this one, and green on this one. Okay, and I'm gonna reach in my stack of envelopes here. Got the medium-sized ones. Got all these long strips sticking out, but I'm not gonna let that bother me, so just pop that in. Card 4. And card 3. I try to lay the cards out in the same order they are in the instructions. So we're going to do always kind of the one in the upper left corner of the sheet, and then work our way forward. And we'll make this one together. Assembly is pretty straightforward for this. I'm going to begin by attaching the purple, dark purple and light purple panels. And if I start with this little panel, I just want it to be just 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom edge of the card. So make sure it opens on that side. Have you ever done that? Have you ever adhered your panel to the card and then realized that it was on the folded edge instead of the edge that opens? I've done that far more times than I like to admit. Before I attach this, we're going to do a couple of things. Let's take this piece. We need our trimmer. Now the width of the card is 6 1/4. So I'm going to take a little off of this edge and a little off of this edge. And now I have a 6 1/4 inch piece. And I'm going to get some of my bookbinding glue in my needle tip applicator and just apply it to those edges. And I will attach it about 1/8 of an inch from the top edge of this strip. Beautiful. Now we have this stunning gold-edged ivory satin ribbon. I'm going to cut a strip wider than my paper and just make sure I know which way I want it to wrap. So you see how this drips down rather than pops up. Make sure you're wrapping the ribbon around. And I'm going to put my adhesive on the back of this so that I can just attach my ribbon. I'm going to center it in the remaining open space and just adhere the back to that. If you want, you can add a little extra adhesive over that piece, and then I'm going to nudge this right up against my light purple strip here. Oh, breathtakingly gorgeous. Is it just me? I hope not. This is so pretty. It's so pretty. Okay, now here we go. Here we have this lovely little border, and I could have just put it in the circular file, you know, where the scraps go, but I didn't. And I'm going to turn it wrong side up and run some bookbinding glue along that strip. And I have the strip edge on the edge of the card, so I know exactly where to stop with my glue on this end. And then just turn it back over, and then I can attach it. Seems to be the best way. Now while that's drying, I'm going to add Sending Healing Hugs, but because this has a lot of pattern and so does this, I'm going to put it on here with some foam adhesive circles. So here we go. I will just hit my corners with a half circle. I usually just cut them in half, and then I'll hit my edges, and then I'll hit this, maybe just the centers too. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, but I got adhesive spread out to a lot more places, right? That's just me being frugal. That's how I roll. Okay, here we go. Sending Healing Hugs nested onto this. Beautiful. That's going to be so gorgeous. I will use a little more adhesive. We have a mixed surface we're working with here between the paper and the ribbon. I'm going to just do offset from the right corner, maybe equal margin here. And now it's safe to grab my paper scissors and just give that a little snip. Okay, then for the inside, I'm kind of going to do the same thing. So I can take this piece, you know, and rather than trim it on the trimmer, it's such a small piece, it's easy to do with scissors. So again, put the end of it here, stop with the adhesive when I reach the end. I'll get a little help from a friend, the grid ruler, and this time I'm going to attach it just on the upper portion of the card, I think. And let that ruler make sure that I don't glue it downhill, because if it's not there, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be downhill. Hoping you find strength for each new day. And that'll be here. And then I have my cute little hope. Again, that would have been a scrap, but Jack put something on it and I can find a home for it, no problem. Lovely. All right, so the second one is just like it. Again, you just have to remember, and I almost forgot, so take the ends off the gold medallion, wrap this around, and then you've got your little colored piece leveled with ruler at the top. Here's your next one. This is the happy birthday. You brighten the world. Now, again, if you have like little sequins, little cute clear dots, maybe from a past kit, you could just add a little something here and there, little dazzles, you know, zhuzh it up a little bit. This is just a starting place. If you want to make more, if you want to emboss, you want to do things that are, you know, kick it up a notch, go for it, okay? But for now, that's where we're going to stop with this set, and behold, we're off to card set C. You know the routine by now. To get started, we will empty the plentiful C pocket of all of its contents, and it's always wise to just take a moment or two and I'll double check it's empty. Get things organized here and sort out all the different size panels, of which there are many. There are these printed panels that are kind of wide. We have all these sentiments that are pretty wide. They take up a lot of real estate, let me just say, on the Cutaparts and the prints, but I feel like this card is worth the effort. It's so pretty. I think you're going to love it. I hope you do anyway. You can see we have all these different components. And we have our card bases. Now, I always try to set up the scoring so that the scores lead the way. This is no exception, and that's why you did that flip when we started scoring. So here is a really narrow area, and then we've got a bump. So I'm going to fold back on that bump. And then now we have a divot. So that means I kind of have to flip the card over to fold back. Once again, I need to flip over this way to expose that raised bump. And then that's what forms that telescoping card. I wish I could tell you how many flops I made, how many models, test models I made. Here's the bump. Before I finally came to what I felt was the right measurement. I was inspired by a card, but it was smaller. And I turned this into a 5x7, which I'm not sure if that's been done. Plus, of course, I turned it into a formula. So this is as efficient as it gets. Okay, so there we go on that. And then finally, our last telescoping card. Go back, and then go back. How cool. Okay, so here we have that cream speckle. Then we're gonna go purple. And then this light purple, so dark purple, light purple, and green. Let's go with, let's see, how about we distribute these little strips. This first card gets that skinniest strip. Let's start there. Now it's designed to fit right on that front telescoping panel, but I'm just gonna lay it here. There's gonna be so many panels going on here. And then I've got a cream with this one. I've got, maybe lay it over here. It's really supposed to be facing this way. And then we've got a green with this one, and then the light purple with this one. All right, then we have a little bit of a wider plain panel, and this one gets that goldish greenish color. This one will have light purple. This one will have cream speckle. This one will have dark purple. Again, distributing the color. Each card will get a strip that has the print on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each card gets a larger strip with print on it. So again, you can distribute color as you wish. Okay. Then we're going to go with the inside panels. This one is going to be, I'm happy and proud to call you my friend. That's on the bottom of that sentiment here. This will be celebrating you today. Happy birthday. The day is all yours. Have fun. And another happy birthday here. Okay, then we have these panels. We're going to go light purple. Once again, adding to the color not present on the card. Then green with this one. Oh, so many panels. I hope you're following all of this. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Okay, then dark purple here, and then cream speckle here. We have some sentiments. Thinking of you. That should be nestable. The dark purple one that says, wishing you the most wonderful year. Another one of those, wishing you the most wonderful year. And we grow neither better or worse as we get older, but more like ourselves. Okay, here we have 4 round medallions. I'm going to add into this one. And we have 4 square medallions. I'm going to add it to this one. Voila. Okay, now I've got my big envelopes, the only envelope I have left. I'm going to shove everything for card 4 there. Everything for card 3 here. Now, I know this isn't a single fold card for those of you who prefer single fold cards, but in the end, this is super easy to assemble, okay? Nothing really hard with this. You can do it. And I know some of you just like want to fold a card in half and go, but I also like to challenge you to learn new things and stuff, you know? All right, so for this thin piece here, well, let's get our base card situated. I just wanted to open this way, okay? So just make sure that you've got your widest panel when everything else is trailing off to the left. I'm going to put a little ribbon on this. So first I'm going to put adhesive like on most of the back of this. I'm going to trim a length of this cute little purple ribbon. You can use any color you want. A little longer than the strip, making sure I have the grain. And I'm just going to put some of this ribbon on the center of the back here. Stretch it across. Maybe I'll even lay it down and bring this around. Again, if you want, you can add a little more adhesive if you think it needs it. It's just a clever way to add ribbon, keeping it flat. And I'm going to center this onto that first telescoping flap of the card. That's easy, right? Super easy. All right. Then I'm going to add some adhesive to this colored panel. And you can see right away it's designed to fit right here. Okay. Now, what about this spot? I wonder if, oh, yes, look at that. It just fits perfect. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive on this and nest it into that space. Well, what about this guy? This is cool. Okay, so I had enough paper left from the print that I could add the print here and the sentiment here. Oh my gosh. All right, so here we go with this. And then put a little adhesive on this. So this goes inside the largest inner panel of the card. And then this you should be able to put like in the margin. I love that so much. Just to be fun, I was able to add this little, would have been a scrap. I probably measured this, but I'm just gonna be a little, life on the edge and visually center it. And then I will add my sentiment to this panel. Finally, this is gonna go here, okay? And I did really want this to be centered. So let me grab my ruler here. The reveal is 7/8. Don't you love me now? Okay, so basically I'm gonna be at 2.5 on each side, and then I'm gonna go 7 cubes up. All right, so that's what's gonna tell me, or maybe I'll go 7, I'll go this way, 3.5, 7 cubes in. And then I need to be 7 cubes down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's got me centered, right? So what I'm gonna do now is flip this over. This is probably the only trick. And it's not that hard. And again, eyeball this if you want to. I'm gonna turn this over, bottom to top. Then I can see exactly where this piece is because that's the only piece I wanna stick this to. And I can run my adhesive right along that spot. Okay, turn it back over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop it down. Isn't that lovely? This card makes me really happy, but it's not done yet. All I have to do now is take some adhesive. I'm going to put it right in the middle of that medallion, and then I'm going to add this beauty. Look at that. So gorgeous. Okay, so that is the first card in the set. Then we have the rest. This one I just used purple ribbon. You could use more ribbon. You could emboss more of these surfaces. I mean, there's a lot visually happening with these cards already, so you may not want to add anything. I don't think they need much. This art is active with these gorgeous reflective images. Oh. And I love how flat it is. Oh, I did a little something. We do have hanging holes on this. So I suspended this between with some waxed cord, but I also did adhere it too. That was before I realized I could just adhere it, plop it on. It's so nice and flat with so many flat surfaces. So yes, that's the end of your card making experience. So all you need to do now is just finish assembling the rest of your cards, just like I showed you for the first one, if you haven't done that already. And then you'll have all those cards ready to send as needed. Now, in some of those cards where the sentiment is maybe not something you think you might use, just leave the inner sentiment off the card, but have it in there, like with an envelope or something. And if it's appropriate, add it. If not, just write your sentiment or find a stamp that is a sentiment that you want. And I'm just trying to make these as flexible as I can for you while still providing that whole package. The outside of the card structure itself, and the inner sentiment. But I can't guess what everyone wants. And people do write to me what they do want, so you can do that too. So now that we've finished this class, I hope you've learned some new things, maybe some new techniques. If you learned something new today, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below in the comments section, or if you're just too busy to do that, give me a thumbs up, maybe that you watched the video, or that you liked it. So I'd love that to happen. And if you're not already a Club Scrap member, please join us. It's called Club Scrap is the company name, but then you can join either the Page Kit or Card Kit Club. So if you like these cards, join our Card Kit Club. It's a great value because I've been to the card store lately and it's insane how much you have to pay for cards. This, you have all the fun and creativity of putting this puzzle together and learning, and then you get to send your greetings to people, and you will impress them so much, and they will think you're a genius, and then they will love you even more than they already do. So again, I'm Tricia Morris from Club Scrap. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in class again soon.